Hey everybody, happy September. My name is Melissa. I go by Misi on my blog, and I go by GeekyWitch here on FlossTube. This is my 5th FlossTube, I believe. Didn't expect it to be this far apart, and I'm gonna try to get that better, but time has just been getting away from me. And I actually was really busy stitching in August. So I just kind of kept putting it off and putting it off and putting it off, and here we are the day after Labor Day. If you're in the US, I hope you had a lovely Labor Day weekend. Ours was nice and relaxed. The weather was absolutely phenomenal here in Rhode Island, finally. So we spent a lot of time outside, had a great time. I had a friend come down to stay with us for the weekend who really is adopted family. So I really shouldn't say friend, he's adopted family. He's my son's adopted uncle. Just a nice break from work. So now we're kind of getting into the grit of the year. My son has not started school yet. Rhode Island delayed everything until the 14th of September. So he will be beginning by remote learning on Monday. And then on Thursday, he'll be going back full-time in person, which I'm a little worried about. But I have a feeling that will probably change in light of what's happened everywhere else in the country, and he'll be back home at some point in the next few weeks, and I'm ready for that. So that's where that is. The end of this week will mark 6 months since I started working from home. It was originally supposed to be a 2-week thing until the end of March, and of course that just kind of kept getting pushed further and further and further out. But now it's like, well, we're here. They're going to do a soft opening of my office soon, but I think they're preventing those of us who take public transportation from coming in because there's no way they could contact trace us and, see where we're exposed to. And I totally agree with that. So I am working from home for the foreseeable future. And so, hey, it is what it is. I'm just glad I'm employed. My husband's employed. We're healthy. We're happy. We're doing fine. Our friends are doing fine. So, what more can we ask for right now other than whatever you want to talk about politically and ethically and morally in the world? That's for another time. And if you want to view my views on that, please go back a couple of FlossTube episodes, and I'm pretty direct on that. But I'm not going to focus on that this episode. Or feel free to contact me. I'll be happy to talk with you about it by email or private messages all day long. So, stitching. We'll get on to stitching this time. I have not done a lot of purchases in the last few weeks. I've been very good. I think after doing the stuff for Celebration, I was like, all right, I gotta backtrack a little bit here. So, so I have not done purchases. That's okay. I do have 2 cute little things that I'm going to show you that I've bought. I'm sure that I'm going to go through a shopping spree at some point as the weather gets colder, so I'll have that next time. Last episode, I said that I was not going to show my finished ornaments for my exchanges, and I'm going to say that's not true. I am going to show them today. And the reason I'm going to show them is because with how the mail is running, I don't know when they're going to get there, and I do want to show what they look like. They are not finished yet. That's my project for this week, so I can have them ready to go by the weekend to mail them. But I have them stitched. So I'm going to show all 3 of those today. 2 of them are for people who do know that they're receiving from me. So I will give a warning as I'm about to get to that point. If you don't want to see them and you know you're getting something from me, skip this episode, come back to it once you receive. The one person who's getting one who has no clue it's for her, hey, doesn't matter. She'll get it and she'll be surprised. So all works out. Then after my finishes, I'll show you some of the stuff that I'm kind of planning on tinkering with this fall. And it seems like a lot, but I'm probably not going to be working on all of this. But it's what I'm playing with right now. And I'm nicknaming it the part 1 of Misi's World of Whips because, oh, are there a lot of them. I am the queen of having way too many projects going at the same time. So let's get started. The first two things I have to show you are purchases from the past few weeks. And I bought a couple of absolutely adorable little needle minders. One of the ones that's kind of become a hit, and especially on Instagram, and I'm not sure how much it's gone into Facebook because I haven't seen it around that much, but I'm sure it's out there in some groups, is a really cute designer called Clay by Kim. And she does dragon needle minders. And she designs them by hand. They're made out of clay. Really, really cute. And they go in an instant after she posts them. She only does them like a batch of one at a time, or two at a time, and they get snapped up before half the time you can refresh your screen. I don't know why. I had wanted one for a long time, and I think the more you can't get one, the more you want one. I still haven't gotten one. However, I found another designer who also does some, and honestly, they're just as cute. They're just a different style, and I managed to get two of them. And so, hey, they're my prizes, and they took over my Clay by Kim. So this is by Agnes Little Minders on Etsy. She sent a cute little card, and you can see her logo there. She is out of the UK, and just like the other ones I mentioned by Clay by Kim, they are kind of pricey, but remember that they are handmade. These are made of clay, entirely made of clay. They're absolutely adorable. They all kind of have a little bit of a personality, and there's a bunch of different styles of them. So if you're into dragons like I am, I think you'll find something you like. Just kind of keep an eye on her page. Like I said, they are pricey, but if you're a real big dragon fan like I am, buying a couple of these for little buddies for your stitching is not going to be a big deal. So here's the first little guy, and he's a little sleeping dragon. Isn't he cute? I don't even know if I can get him in focus there. And I have been trying to think about names, and this one looks an awful lot like Toothless from How to Train Your Dragon, but for some reason the name Norbert came into mind. So this is Norbert, and he has hung out with me on a couple of stitching projects already. And very, very cute. Has a very nice back with a glued handle, so it makes it easier to put pull those magnets apart. And that's the first one. The second one I have not used yet on a stitching project, and so he has not yet been named. But here's the other guy. He's nice and bright. Very, very cute. And again, has a cute handle on the back to make it easier to pull the magnets apart. Hopefully he will be named by the next time I have a floss tube. But yes, those are the only two things I've purchased. And again, you can find Agnes on Etsy. It's Agnes Little Minders. I will put a link in the show notes to find her. Very sweet. She's been very friendly. I had a couple little chats with her by private message on Etsy. Really recommend her. And they came super fast, even in the midst of all of this stupidity with the mail. So those are my only two purchases, amazingly. Next, I will go to my finishes. So if you're someone who is getting an ornament from me in an exchange and you don't want to see these, you want to stop now, I promise you. You can see these as soon as you get them. And they're all going in the mail this week, so hey. All right, so the first one, this is from one of the ornament shoes. I forgot to pull that out. Hold, please. This is from, of course, I already put the ornament shoe away. Of course I did. I want to say that this is probably from 2013. It's an older one. It's not one of the more recent ones of the Just Cross Stitch Christmas. And this is To All a Good Night. The original was stitched more on a gray, and I had this piece of blue that I just thought would be really cute as kind of a bright nighttime fabric. This is 32 count Millennium Blue Belfast linen from Zweigart. The threads are mostly DMC, but I did use an overdyed Gentle Art for the red. I think yeah, that was all. Everything else is straight DMC. But I wanted a little bit of texture in the red. I don't think I really got it, to be perfectly honest. So that's the first one, and I know it's wrinkled as all heck. I'm going to be finishing this as an ornament. It's going to be a flat ornament, which will be a little funny because I've never done one before. But I'm pretty confident I'll be able to get it done. I've been watching videos and it doesn't seem all that difficult. So that's the first one that's going out, and that's for a private group exchange that was due out actually in August, but my partner knows that mine's going to be late, so I will get that one over to the UK as fast as I can. The next one is my surprise one, and I just finished stitching on this on Sunday. This is from the most recent issue of Just Cross Stitch, the October 2020, not the Halloween special edition, the actual like subscription issue of Just Cross Stitch. And this is a cute little owl from Punchoka Designs, the Ukrainian designer. I stitched this on a very old piece of silk weaver that I had in my stash. We're talking like this is from 2005, so I don't even know if it's a color that's made anymore, but it was called Purple Fog. It is 32 count, and it was when their monthly fabric of the month was actually on fat eighths. You could get an option for that, so perfect size for ornaments. All of the threads are from Stash. I did use the DMC 310 as called for and DMC white as called for, but the orange and the gray are just pulled from my stash, and both are Victorian motto threads. I just didn't feel like digging to try to find the right DMCs and couldn't find my master stash. So cute little ornament. Again, this one I'm going to finish as a flat. And I've already picked out my backing fabric and whatnot, so I'll have pictures of those hopefully on my blog sometime in the next few weeks, but I will let my partner receive them before you see the actual finally finished pieces. And maybe I'll record something later this week that I can, attach onto a different post or something about that. So I'm happy with how that came out, since it was kind of a thrown together thing. So that's that one. And that's for the Stitchers Coven exchange. They do a Halloween exchange every year. The final one is for the Teresa Wentzler group that I actually run on Facebook. And after a few years off, I decided to try running an ornament exchange again and had a good turnout. We had 16 people, which I'm really happy about. I was running out of time to get my ornament done, and being the person that, is running the group and running the exchange, I really should have an ornament that's out on time. So I was thinking of what I could do, and then I realized that I had a Wentzler ornament stitched that I'd never finished, and it was in my scroll of all my finished projects that I just hadn't gotten around to finishing. I'm like, well, it's been sitting there for a long time for someone to be able to love it. And so I pulled this out. This is Teresa Wentzler's Whitework Ornament number 1. It's stitched on, my guess is it's either 28 or 32 count linen. I don't know what it is because I stitched it years ago. I probably stitched this before my son was born, to be perfectly honest. With Ecru DMC, stitched exactly as it's designed. This is a freebie off of her website. So if you go to TW Design Works, you will find this among the free design ornaments available. It is a really great stitch. If you have not done a Teresa Wentzler and you're intimidated by all of her blends and all of the craziness and how big they are, totally get it. Do some of these ornaments. They're fun. They're really varied in what they do. They're perfect little small things. I think this one's only like maybe 60 by 60, 50 by 50. It's really not that big. There's a few different stitches on it, but it's, let's see, it's cross stitches, some satin stitching, some eyelets, and chain stitch, and that's it. But it gives you a fun little variety of things that you can do, and I love doing these. And I've actually done this ornament a few different times for different, gifts and whatnot. They've always been on a different color, and every single time when you do this one, it looks totally different depending on what thread and fabric combination you do. So highly recommend doing this one. If you have any interest at all in doing a Teresa Wentzler, even if you're just scared to death of the huge ones, try one of these. They're fun. I'm going to finish this as I always finish a Wentzler ornament, and that is as a hanging biscornu without the center pull, that you do on a biscornu to tuft it down in the center. I will leave it open like a pillow. But I really like finishing my Wentzler ornaments that way because it gives them a neat dimension. And when they're square like this, they make perfect biscornus. It's just something a little different than a pillow, but the finishing technique is the same as a pillow, so they're super, super easy to do. And so I have the rest of the month to get this one done. But yeah, I just decided, you know what? I need to give this to somebody who will really enjoy it because it's been sitting in my finished stash for years, unfinally finished object. So that will be going off to Taiwan in a couple of weeks. And like I said, who knows when these are going to get there. So I want to be able to show those off before I get them in the mail, because I hope to God they get to their destinations. I really do. With how the mail is lately, it's like, okay. So that is my finishes so far. And I have decided that the rest of the year, I am just going to do lazy stitching. I have no goals. I have no plans. Well, no, I take it back. I have one plan for October, but I'm not involved in any heavy duty stitch alongs where I'm fighting to, keep up with anything. I'm not, I've got a cat meowing behind me. Hopefully you can't hear that. He's yodeling. I want to relax with my stitching. I've got, the school year coming back up, and I don't know where Scott, my brother, Max is going to be with school. And so I'm trying to make it as laid back as I possibly can with my stitching for the rest of the year. So I've just kind of pulled out a bunch of my whips. I don't know exactly what order I'm going to do them in. I originally was debating doing a sampler hangout for the rest of the year. I started hearing everyone talking about, sampler September or Sal September for Stitch Along September. And of course, as soon as I heard that, I'm like, nope, I don't want to be involved in that. I need to be rebellious and I need to do my own thing for some stupid reason. But a lot of the stuff I have is samplers. So I'm going to be doing an autumn sampler thing. That's just what I'm going to do. And with no plans on finishing anything. If I finish something, great, but there's not a lot here that I'm honestly going to be able to get done unless I focused on one piece for the rest of the year, and I have no interest in doing that. I'm going to have fun the rest of the year. So the first piece that I'm working on, and I'm actively working on this one right now, so I just took it out of the hoop for the day, is the sampler needlework I Love New England. I showed this before in probably my first one because I brought it out for Stitch Mania, but I never got to it that month. And there's a ton of extra fabric here, so I'm just going to hold it up this way. So this is what I have done. This is about the top, it's not quite a sixth, but maybe about a sixth of it. And it's done on antique white. I'm doing this on 28 count. It's all DMC threads, called for DMC threads. Super easy stitch, just a lot of straight line stitching. So I kind of was getting to a point, I was trying to do all that straight line stitching at the same time, which is just dumb for me to try. And as soon as I started mixing it in with the letters in the center, it started going a lot faster. So that's how I'm doing it now. I'll do some lines for a while. Then when I get tired of that, go play with some words, So it really feels like I'm making progress, or go do a little bit of that border and then go back to the lines. Because the lines go along the entire frigging piece and it's super, super boring to stitch. But it'll look awesome when it's done. So this is the final piece. This is out of print, and I know I mentioned it in a previous video. I don't know where you can find this. I have not seen another copy of this anywhere. I picked it up in the shop that designed it, which was the Sampler Needlework in Plymouth. They are no longer there. I don't even know if they exist at all anymore. I don't think they do. But it really is a stunning piece, especially when it gets done, because it's just big and just nice and crisp and easy to see. So I do want to get this done eventually, but I have a ways to go. So not going to get done this year. That's okay. It'll be nice relaxed stitching for the fall. And especially as we get into autumn and it's, you know, hooray New England, because we're made for it up here. That's going to be a great one for me to stitch on. So that's project number 1, and I'm going to be working on that off and on this week as I get my courage up to do my finishing for the ornaments, which will probably happen next Saturday. The next piece is, let me pull them off the stack here, is Leaping Cat by La-Di-Da Designs. This is one I bought when it was brand new, so back in 2002. And I started it a couple years ago and had some nasty miscounts somewhere and couldn't figure out where. Finally figured out where, pulled it out, and now I'm moving forward. But it kind of stalled before Stitch Mania. This one I actually might be able to finish this year. There's not that much to do on it, but we'll see where we get. So this is where I am on this one. And I am stitching this on 36 count. I believe it is Picture This Plus Legacy, but I don't have it written down. It's not the called for fabric, which I thought looked way too yellow in the shot. And I know the photos can be awful and off color, but I saw this in my stash and I'm like, oh, I really like how that looks on that. So yeah, so I'm stitching this on 36 count Picture This Plus. I think it's Legacy. It's in the called for threads, which are all over dyes. They are all Gentle Art sampler threads. It's not really big. It's only like, it's 123 by 102. So for me, that's tiny because I am the queen of big projects. But really cute little piece, simple little piece. And conveniently, if I finish this year, I don't have to rechart that 2020. I just have to flip those two numbers around and hey, I've got it done. So that will be going in the stash. I'll probably start working on that next after I work on Why I Love New England for a little while. I'm going to be going back to sitting on Sundays. I keep saying I'm going to do this and I never get to it. I am going to get to it. Sundays, the rest of the year, is going to be on And They Sinned. And I will be putting blog posts up on it. And maybe, just maybe, I will get to those frigging clouds on part 1. I keep saying that, and I haven't gotten to it. But to be fair, part of the reason is because my light died that I have in my living room. And I normally do my stitching at night. And I cannot stitch on this piece unless I have a good light. And here's why. I am doing my And They Sinned on 56 count over 2. So if I don't have a light, I can't see. I actually don't need a magnifier, but I can't see if I don't have a light. So this is where I'm at on this. Isn't that crisp? It's amazing on 56 count. And this is over 2, so it's the same size as 28 over 1. This is fabric by Zweigart. It is cream color. It feels like a bed sheet. Super, super soft. The holes are tricky to find when you first start a motif, and once you get a couple of stitches into it, it's really not all that bad. The only trick I've found stitching on this is that because of how small the holes are, you really do need to keep your lengths of floss a lot smaller because it does start to fuzz as it's pulling through. So I'm one of those stitchers that's horrible about, you know, having these long gargantuan lengths of DMC floss, which I know you're not supposed to do, but I do it anyway. So this one I have to be really well behaved and keep them to a foot. They have to be 12 inches or less, or it's going to fray like crazy. But I have, oh, so much to go on this. I am barely down. Well, this is all the way down to the end of the first page of the pattern for anybody who's familiar with the glorious hugeness that is And They Sinned. Since I am doing it on 56 count, my entire piece will be a whopping 35 inches. And They Sinned is normally about a 4 foot, 5 foot deal. It's huge. And I started this kind of as a sarcastic offhand joke that I wondered after buying this wonderful piece of fabric if And They Sinned would fit on it. And we did the calculations and found out that, lo and behold, yes, it would. So then it became a moral imperative. I don't have my copy of the picture of And They... Oh, yes, I do. I took it out of the bag like a good person. So And They Sinned is a huge, 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 huge piece. And I'm like way up here. So I got a ways to go. This is not getting done this year. This is not getting done next year. This may get done by 2030. Who knows? We'll see. Maybe I'll get into a groove on it at some point and I'll plow through it. I know somebody who stitched this sucker in like 4 months. She's insane, but she did it in 4 months. The official stitch count, for the record, in case you're curious, is, where is it? 809 stitches high by 169 stitches wide. So yeah, it's huge. I'm gonna just kind of plug on it on Sundays, see where I get. Ideally, I'd really like to get that big cloud at the top going at least, so that I have something that I can kind of absent-mindedly stitch when, you know, I'm on a Zoom call with friends or whatnot and just kind of plow through it. The next thing I have is one that's been sitting around here for ages. And again, could get done. Don't know if it'll get done. If it does get done, hey, cool. This is a round robin that I was in back in 2011 or 2012. My brain is, my pre-child brain time is like all screwed up now. So a group of us got together to do a band sampler round robin, and everyone kind of had their own way of doing it. And I decided to just throw in some threads for color palette and gave everybody the width of the stitch count and said, have at it, go have fun, pick something. I don't care what you stitch on it, you know, here's your color scheme, let me see what you get. So this is what came back from the 6 stitchers. Everything down to that line with MK, I stitched. So I started that off. This line here is actually from my son's birth sampler. I really liked that band. The other ones are just kind of stuff that I threw in there that I found from other stuff. And then everybody else added in their bands, random stuff from various pieces. I can't even tell you where some of them came from. Probably can't tell you where most of them came from. But I think it all came out well. So really all I need to do here is on the bottom, add a couple more bands just to end it off, you know, and date it. I'll date it for the proper year that the band sampler happened, not when I'm actually finishing it. And that one will be done. There is no template chart to it because this was completely free verse. And we had 7 of us that just rotated these around. Every single sampler is different, totally different color schemes, totally different ideas. They all came out fantastic. And it's a lot of fun because you kind of have a little more creativity and just see where this goes. So yeah, so I've got a little bit more to do on that, and that one will be done. That one is being stitched on 28 count even weave, like an antique white even weave. And I think it's honestly just fabric that I got at either Michael's or Joann's. It doesn't have the orange stripe of Zweigart, but it doesn't feel like really bad fabric either. So, I mean, it's an older piece. It's not the stuff that was decreasing in quality in recent years. But yeah, in even weave, which makes it a lot easier for doing outlining and band samplers. So there's that piece. The next one was my start for New Year's start, not this year, but last year, which is a sampler called Kids Sleeve Handprints by My Big Toe Designs. Super quick little sampler. I picked this up at Needleworker's Delight, which is where Silk Weaver comes from, during one of my annual treks down there with my group of stitchers in October. Really cute piece, and you know, since I'm a mom to a little kid, it really appealed to me. I'm doing this on, excuse me, on 28 count antique white by Zweigart. It's linen. And I am completely throwing the color scheme out, and I'm doing this with flosses I have on hand from Moe's Floss. The brighter the better, the ones that I can't figure out what else I would do them with. But for kids stuff, hey, it could be bright. So not that far along. I don't think I've actually ever showed this anywhere, including on my blog. I think I forgot to blog it. So yeah, so that's where I am. It's not going to be a long stitch. It stitches pretty quick since it's all letters. So hopefully I can get a little bit more done on that at some point this fall. It will probably be like neon blaring by the time I get it done. But it was a fun stitch. I dropped it at some point, and then I got busy on other stuff, and I just never picked it back up. So I found it while I was going through all the whips and went, oh yeah, that one wouldn't be hard to work on. I might as well grab that one out of the bin. So there's that. The next one was my New Year's start for this year. And this is Early Americans from Little House. And I have the entire stash of all 9 designs. So I am stitching them together as a 9 patch. I am not doing the outside border that I've seen with some people that designed for it. It really didn't appeal to me. I'm just going to keep it straight as a 9 patch. And here's what I have done so far. This square here and that square there define the top and bottom. I have 3 more squares on the right to put on, and then finish that square on the bottom left. And then I can start filling everything in. I got a little itchy and I decided to put a little bit of Betsy Ross in there. But I am going to finish the rest of the squares before I do any more of it. This is being stitched on, where are my notes? Where are my notes? Ah, here they are. On 40 count Newcastle granite dust. So again, once the stitches are in there, it'll be nice and crisp. I am using the called for Gentle Arts threads, even though, you know, Little House designs look great in Gentle Arts, well, no, it's not Gentle Arts, it's in the Classic Colorworks. I forgot the ones that her daughter was dyeing. They look great in DMC. You can do them in DNC, but this one I decided to do in the called for colors. And I had this piece in my stash and just thought it would be great for it. So I'd like to get the squares done this fall. I don't have any other plans beyond that of what I'd like to finish. The next one is another ornament that I have. I started this earlier this year. This is from the 2019 ornament issue. It's by Blue Ribbon Designs. I have done a couple of her other projects for Christmas, and so I just pulled all of my remnants of flosses because they kind of all have the same color palette scheme, and so I had you know, here and there a little bit of the threads left over, so makes it fun to do the ornaments. This is almost done, so I'm sure when I pick it up, you know, I'll get it done. But yeah, that's from 2019 Blue Ribbon Designs from the ornament issue. The next one I have to do is the Linens and Threads Quaker Sampler, which is this year's Stitch Along. I am still in January, even though, you know, they're now in September. So I'm way far behind on this one, but not in any hurry. I'll get to it. I love the project. I just have been in a, I need to stitch on all the things and I'm getting nothing completed this year mode, which happens to me all the time, which is why I have so many projects in progress. This is all I have done. I am doing this on, excuse me, on 46 count Bergen linen from Silk Weaver. This is toasted almond, and the threads are DMC, just random DMC for my stash. This is one of those projects where everyone picks their own colors, and I decided to go for kind of the muted jewel tone look to mine. This is all of the colors that I'm planning on putting on this. I don't have any others as of right now that I'm planning on putting in here, so there's like 5 colors. But that's where I'm at. January is not done yet. It'll get done maybe by November. Fun stitch, but yeah, I fell behind and then start stitching on other things. So I'll get done with it when I get done with it. I am not going to put the initials in it until I'm done, so I can decide what initials and where I'm putting, because I do want to customize it for my own family and friends. So that'll probably happen in a couple of years at this point. The next one that I would like to put some stitches in, and this is the last piece actually that I have in my stash to show you today, is I Love to Stitch. It's a shadow box by Jeanette Douglas. I took this as a class at Celebration of Needlework a couple of years ago, and I didn't get that far on it in the class. We were only in the class for like 3 hours. So, and we wound up chatting a lot, as you do. Jeanette is lovely. If you ever have a chance to take a class with her, please do. She is just a really pleasant person, very, very kind, very willing to help you out with stitches, has great diagrams of stitches in her projects. So do take one. Don't be afraid of the different stitches in here if you're someone who has not tried them, and don't be afraid of the different fibers. It's a great way to learn how to use all these different fibers and flosses and silks and wools and all that fun stuff. And she kits things really nicely and very easy to find everything. So this is the design. I do already have the box to finish it, along with all of the backing fabrics and whatnot. I don't have a lot done. I have a teeny tiny corner of an acorn done. Ooh, I know. This one is on 32 count Legacy from Picture This Plus, and it's a mix of different silks that will be in it, probably a couple of metallics. Again, no goals. I just want to push it forward a little bit. Not planning on having this done this year, but I'd like to get a little bit done on it, just so it, you know, doesn't just look like a tiny half-done acorn. It's kind of lonely sitting there. And I know I've been bad and I have needles in my fabric, which is, I know. But yeah, so that's what I have that I'm going to be stitching on this fall. It's a lot. I doubt I'll finish all of it, and that's okay. I doubt I'll finish any of it. That's okay too. I just want to have a nice relaxing autumn of stitching, and I'll hang out with my friends on Zoom, and you know, I don't think I'll be seeing any of them in person anytime soon. It's going to be a lot of solo stitching, which is kind of a weird thing. I haven't done solo stitching in so long, where, you know, I'm like entirely by myself. So Floss Tube has been a very nice part of this reconnecting to people, because yeah, I miss being around people, and I miss going to retreats, and I miss seeing other people and seeing what they have going. So that's it for this episode. Thank you for enduring my prattling on. And please, if you have questions, ask. I'm an open book. And yeah, I guess I will see you next time, which hopefully will not be as late as October. Until then, happy stitching, stay safe, and I'll see you next time. Bye now.